Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. In this episode, I reflect on an interview conducted by my group with John, a Sydney based entrepreneur who runs a food packaging business. This, this podcast focuses on one key question: how did John test his business ideas and learn what customers really wanted? In entrepreneurship, a have test in an early belief about customer needs. In this case, the interview suggests that John was testing whether food business would choose his packaging products when he could offer suitable quality, good service, and products that matched their needs. In this interview also shows that different customers cared about different things, especially price, design, and quality. In this in this podcast, I will briefly introduce the business, explain the main habits, discuss how John tested it, what result he observed, and what I learned from this case. John is a Sydney-based entrepreneur who runs a food packaging business. In this interview, he explains that his business provides packaging products to a range of food-related customers, including supermarkets, grocery stores, restaurants, seafood shops, and fish shops. This shows that his business operates in a practical and necessary market. Because packaging is something these businesses need in their daily operations. Products such as bags, trays, and other packaging materials are not optional for food businesses. They are part of normal business activity. However, even though the industry seems stable, the market is still not simple. John's customers are not all the same. Some customers care more about the price because they want to reduce cost. Others care more about design, presentation, or adding logos to the packaging. This means that even in a business that looks straightforward, the entrepreneur still faced uncertainty. He still needs to understand what different customers value most and what kind of packaging or service will best match their needs. Another important part of the background is that John did not build the business completely from zero. In the interview, he explains that he purchased the business and inherited some customers from the previous owner. At the same time, he also needed to grow beyond an original customer base by finding new customers and maintain strong relationships with existing ones. This is important because it means his challenge was not only to keep the business running, but also to learn how to expand it in a competitive market. So overall, the background helps explain why customer testing was important in John's case. Even in a stable industry, he still needs to learn what customers care about, how they respond to different packaging options, and how service, quality, and pricing affect their decisions. From this interview, I think the main hypothesis was this: food businesses are more likely to buy packaging when the supplier offers reliable quality, responsive service, and solutions that fit their specific needs. A second idea is that customer preferences are different. Some customers focus more on design and logo printing, while others focus on the pricing. This means John needs to learn not only whether customers would buy, but also what kind of value different customers were looking for.
So do you think like different types of customers focus on like different things? I mean
Yeah, of
like
course.
small
Yeah.
business focus more on the cost while bigger businesses pay more attention on the design of the packaging.
On both actually.
Oh yeah.
Some business they more care about the style of the packaging. Like carry bags, some business want to print the some the logo or some something on the bags. And the other business, they focus on mainly they concern about the price, okay, because they wanna save the cost. So different customers, they have different concerns and focus.
This clip is useful because it clearly shows market differences. John understood that his customers were not only a single group. That is important because a good business test is not only about asking whether customers like the product, it's also about finding out which customer want different features. In this case, the interview suggests that the entrepreneur was learning about customer segmentation through direct contact with the market. John did not use a formal experiment with detailed numbers. Instead, he used a practical and ongoing testing process. He visited customers, asked about packaging quality, discussed their needs, and provided samples for trial use. This led them to see how customers respond in real business situations.
How did you first test your packaging idea with food business? Like, what kind of methods did you use to see
Oh, okay.
whether the idea is working?
All right. So of course, first of all, I frequently visit my customers and I ask them the quality of the packaging material I provide. Also, I want to ask them, they have some specific needs. So, like, yeah, they want to have some logo on it, or I give them the samples, yeah, the samples to explore new customers and let them have a trial use, or yeah, the basic. I visited the customers quite often, actually. Yeah.
I think this was the most important part of the interview. It shows that John tested his idea through direct customer interaction. He did not stay far away from the market. He stayed close to customers and used the conversations and samples to collect the feedback. This method also makes sense for packaging businesses. Packaging is a physical product, so customers often need to see and try it before making a decision. Another useful point from this interview is how John built and expanded his customer needs. He says that after taking over the business, he kept visiting customers, stayed in touch with them, talked about product quality, and responded to urgent needs. He also emphasized the customer relationships. This suggests that his testing to process was not only about the product itself, it was also about service and trust. In small business testing settings, this factor can strongly influence customer decisions.
Move on. Like, how did you find and approach your customers? You mentioned before you bought the company, so you already have some customers. But but I mean, like, how did you to extend the customer base to have more customers?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. Basically, I go to visit customers, as I said, very often.
Yes.
And I also keep in touch with them. And also, like, I talk with them about the quality of the products because the customers very much focus on the quality. Yeah.
Yes.
And also just sometimes, yeah, I have a cup of coffee with them, you know what I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
also because we need to meet some
Like keep in
urgent,
touch with customers.
yeah, urgent
Yeah.
needs. If they have a urgent order, we deliver, then they feel like our service is very good. So that's the
Yes.
way we usually take.
This clip shows that John was learning through repeated customer contact. He was not only selling packaging, He was also testing whether good services, responses, and regular communication would help customers feel confident in buying from him. So in this case, the hypothesis test was closely connected to relationship building. The next question is what kind of customer response John actually looked at. From the interview, the main signals were whether customers used the samples, what they said about product quality, and whether they placed orders after trying the products. These are practical customer actions, even if they are not expressed as formal metrics. This means success was judged in a practical way. If customers reacted positively, continued the conversation, and decided to buy, that was treated as evidence that the products and service were meeting their needs.
Next question is, what specific customer actions did you track during the test to see whether they like your product or not?
Well, always the quality. The quality is the number one priority. Yeah, so I concern. So I just if I give them sample, so I would trace the use of the products. Yeah, then I go to visit them, then talk with them. So that's the way we do to check the customers, the response to our products.
Yes, just use survey to check their response and
Yeah,
see
the
whether
service.
they like
Yeah,
it.
service
Yeah,
is very important.
This clip highlights one key learning point. Quality is central. John repeatedly referenced to quality as the top priority. That means the test was not only about whether customers liked the idea of packaging, but whether they believed the packaging was good enough for their business use. This is an important difference. A business idea only works when customers are willing to use it in real practice, not just to say that it sounds good. According to this interview, the results were generally positive. John explains that when customers felt listened to and felt comfortable doing business with him, they placed orders. He also said that the business kept growing with suggestions that the approach was working. More importantly, he explains that customer feedback led to changes. If there was a quality issue, he would speak with the factory in China and improve the product. If customers thought the price was too high, he would try to offer discounts. This shows that the business was adapting based on what it learned from the market.
So the final question is that based on these results, what change did you make to your product's pricing or the target market?
Well, then because as I said, I always keep in touch with my customers. We always very focused on the customers' feedback. So if any problem, then we will talk to like quality problem. Then we'll because we have a factory in China, so we will talk to the factory in my factory in China. Then we make changes to the quality, and then the price as well. Same, yeah. Pricing is if they said, oh, your price is too high, then we will give them some discount as much as we can. Yeah. So
Okay.
then we will have a bigger market.
So just doing some like customized changes to fit every people's needs, right?
What I learned from this interview is that hypothesis testing does not always need to be formal or highly technical. In this case, John tested his business idea through customer visits, product samples, feedback, and actual purchase behavior. I think this is a realistic example of entrepreneurship in everyday business life. Entrepreneurs often learn step by step. They listen to customers, look at responses, and make an adjustment. Even without detailed data, they can still test assumptions in a practical way. At the same time, this interview also shows a limitation. The testing process was not very structured, and there were no clear numerical success criteria. Because of that, the results were harder to measure precisely. So while the approach was useful, it was also informal. Overall, I think this case shows that customer contact is extremely important. John's experience suggests that understanding customer needs, staying responsive, and being willing to adjust are all essential parts of testing a business idea. To conclude, this interview shows that John testing his business ideas by staying close to customers, offering samples, collecting feedback, and responding to what he learned. His main learning was that the different customers care about different things. By quality, service, and fit were all very important in winning business. For me, the biggest takeaway is that internship is not just about having a product. It is about learning from the market and improving based on real customer response. Thank you for listening.